Good evening, Commonwealth, and thanks for watching the Channel 2 News. I'm Ashley McDowell. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. PSS officials create plans for the upcoming school year. Also tonight, those who have lost work due to COVID-19 will soon get additional funding assistance. And many concerns are raised at the Casino Commission meeting. We have the details. In sports, a top forward forwards her soccer career to the next level. Stay with us. These stories and more are next.
Thank you for being here with us.
For finding ways to keep things happening.
For making things feel a lot better.
Thank you.
Energize, realize, feels so good just to be alive. Time's a gift, my time is free. I can spend it on you, you can spend it on me. I can say you'll be blown away by the change you see me. And I feel alright, dance all night, put a little flavor in my life.
Thank you for staying strong with us.
And for us.
Thank you for always connecting.
For keeping us together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding us
That despite this distance,
We are still better together.
I put the good stuff in, yeah.
Docomo Pacific, better together.
Uncle, make sure to buckle up.
Don't worry, sweetie. They're not gonna catch me.
I told you so, now you're gonna get a ticket.
Hey, sir. Buckle up next time, okay?
Yes, officer, I will.
Half a day to Ruwami and good evening, Commonwealth. Today is Friday, May 29th, 2020. The CNMI public school system hopes for a full opening of classes come this September, and preparations begin now. Sally Lemus has the details.
During a special online meeting, PSS key management team presents 4 scenarios to the Board of Education on the reopening of classes for school year 2021. The scenarios were created with consultation of the Governor's COVID-19 Task Force, the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation, principal representatives, and the Director of Instructional Technology. Plans on how to execute each scenario are based on readiness indicators provided by the Centers for Disease Control.
Number one, and most importantly, what are the state and local laws that impact opening? Has the governor executive order? And what is the threat level in our community in terms of spread of COVID-19? The second one will be whether or not we are equipped and ready to protect everybody that happens to be on campus for any amount of time, and especially those who are more vulnerable, who have pre-existing conditions that we need to address. Is what is our capacity to safely screen for symptoms, for history of exposure, to monitor, triage, and refer anybody who is ill.
The first scenario is full remote learning. Dr. Bobby Cruz says online learning will be the primary strategy for the general population, but there will be special opportunities for students who need face-to-face support at school sites. The second scenario is a mixture of face-to-face engagement and remote learning.
Students will have the opportunity to come to the campus, so teachers will be able to assist the students on their online work, and teachers will also have the opportunity to have virtual and on-campus instruction.
The third scenario is a partial reopening of classrooms, where students come in as groups with a staggered schedule.
And so with this, in addition to what Dr. Lee White has shared earlier regarding all the safety measures, there are three key areas that stand out for scenario 3, and this includes PSS needing to ensure that we consider policy implications on instructional time, where because we are bringing in students at different times of day, we may have to revisit our instructional time. And also, we are considering that after-school programs can be made available during Fridays or Saturdays, and this again is taking us back to a 4-day school day.
The fourth scenario is a total reopening of schools.
Scenario 4 is what we all are hoping for, I believe, that returning back to campus as all the other previous experiences, but with the understanding that there may be a new normal that we still may have to consider. And so all of the safety mitigation would still have to be in place, although we don't know if certain things might change about, distancing and things like that. But scenario 4 would mean kind of that we would be not having as many of the restrictions that are currently in place due to the pandemic situation.
An important factor discussed for all four scenarios are to have a healthcare professional available on campus and to identify an isolation room in each school site. Board member Philip Mendiola Long recommends creating a visual of the new classrooms to make parents and guardians feel more at ease. Reporting for KSPN News, I'm Sally Lemis.
Individuals in the CNMI are eagerly awaiting the PUA FPUC programs to begin. Governor Ralph Torres stating during a press conference this morning that the Department of Labor will start accepting applications next week. But what the CNMI is waiting on is funding.
We are waiting for the $70 million to be posted into our account before we start disseminating that. We have about another week or so on the training for our employees, our Department of Labor. But once we receive the funding of $70 million, then we're able to start dispersing that.
The Commonwealth Casino Commission had their monthly meeting on Thursday, and one concern raised is the absence of a CEO for IPI.
The Commission has been asking IPI for several months already since the departure of the previous CEO, Mark Brown. Who is the CEO, even on an acting or interim basis? This is a very difficult, very sensitive time in our history. CCC and the rest of the world need to know who is in charge at IPI. We have been communicating with the board, and we have been sending very strong word to them to say, look, we understand the difficulty we're all going through, but it's important to assign even an interim or an acting CEO. And now since we lost the chief financial officer and we lost general counsel, I understand Mr. Dodds is now the counsel. The board needs to understand, IPI board needs to understand that you, IPI, CNMI, HR, and everybody here on island need some immediate action by the parent company. We need some leadership on island as to who is responsible for IPI CNMI.
The absence of a CEO also leads to another issue, enforcing compliance.
But IPI's compliance with the casino license agreement, IPI's compliance with Public Law 8056, and IPI's compliance with the casino regulations and the CCC orders. Now, I understand over the years, compliance section have always been saying that They're unable to address those issues because those are of upper management issues. We have reminded IPI frequently that IPI is one IPI. There are no different sections of IPI. The requirements for IPI to comply with those requirements that I've stated, the law, the agreement, the orders, and the casino license, has not been fully addressed by IPI in the compliance report. Now, currently, and I want to hear from you and I want to hear from IPI regarding what's going on with compliance in reference to the IRS and the FinCEN under the executive session. But we also want to hear whether or not your compliance committee or someone else, what's the status of the community benefit fund? I think that's something that everybody's been asking, and I've been following up on that. So in the future, if we're going to be doing reorganizational chart, the compliance committee must be comprised of every key employee affecting the entire operation of IPI. It cannot just be on the gaming side.
VP of Compliance and Gaming Audit, Karen Decker, states without a CEO or CFO, she has no way to enforce compliance on IPI's agreements.
Unfortunately, when I ask the questions that are related to those items, I don't get any response. Also, all departments are required to give us violation logs, and we have not received one from finance in, I believe it's been 5 months. Without a CEO or a CFO, I just don't know how to enforce it.
CCC Chairman Deleon Guerrero pointed out to IPI officials present at the meeting 2 issues that would ruin the industry.
There's 2 ways that this industry would quickly die, without a doubt. One is violate FinCEN regulation, and 2, don't pay your winning vendors. If those 2 occur, you're an absolute cliff. May I ask why IPI is not putting more people into compliance section, particularly since IRS and FinCEN are waiting, rather than taking people out?
The Public Affairs for IPI, Tao Xing, responded with, quote, "I'll ask HR," end quote.
You do not have any option but to immediately respond to FinCEN. I don't know if you know much about FinCEN and their operations. You do not have the luxury to wait. You must immediately allocate every available resources. I read through that. 94 pages. Unbelievable. But I'll discuss that more. You must immediately, as one of the heads and one of the boards, immediately put every resource you can into that, resolve that issue, and we can move forward. Otherwise, this entire gaming industry is moved.
Also discussed at the Casino Commission meeting was the issue on disconnection of power and water at the casino housings, which, according to IPI's Public Affairs Officer, Tao Xing, has been reconnected.
On May 26, Imperial Pacific International sent out a memo informing casino employees on the disconnection of power at 5 housing properties. During the CCC meeting, Chairman Edward Delon Guerrero addresses the issue.
What's going on with the disconnections of water, power, sewer to the employee employment package? Is IPI not maintaining its part of the contract? If you're going to provide somebody housing as part of the employment contract, but the issue of your employees and the contracts and obligations on those employees, if it includes housing, then HR should be very much involved, along with your finance and along with whoever is acting head now, to assure that those basic human needs should be provided. I mean, that's part of the contract.
Yes.
Delon Guerrero says the CCC, along with the entire Commonwealth, will not continue to tolerate this kind of behavior.
If you have employees here, you must honor your obligations. No more excuses. No more talking about bank transfer problems. CCC has already completed an amendment to the regulations of which we will try to resurface that would require IPI to reserve at least 3 months payroll in reserve. We're going to resurface and bring that regulation that we proposed back in action because it cannot continue as is.
KSPN reaches out to IPI's Public Affairs Officer Tao Xing, who says power has been reconnected. Sally Limis for KSPN News.
Coming up, we head out to the sea to check out a device that makes fishing a bit easier. More after the break.
Mom, are you sure? What about the shutters? And do you have your medicine?
Don't worry about us, love, okay? You take good care of yourself. Hi, my love. Yeah, sorry. The power went out, so I had to light up all the candles. Yeah. Yes, baby, yeah. I'm just glad our home phone's working and we're able to contact you.
Welcome to the Marianas Eye Institute. Our office on Beach Road is staffed with U.S. certified eye care technicians, doctors that have received national recognition, and a friendly, professional staff that will look after you and your loved ones. With over 1,200 eyeglass frames to choose from and an in-house lab, we can make most glasses in about an hour, and we even feature a mobile clinic to bring eye care to you. Keep your eyes healthy and strong with professional eye care at the Marianas Eye Institute. At one of Saipan's beaches, this mother lays about 100 eggs under the cover of darkness. She hides her nest as best she can and then slowly makes her way back to the ocean. The eggs hatch and the babies head for the sea, where they will face a daily dose of danger. Just 1 in 1,000 will make it to adulthood. Those that do will one day lay their own eggs. Sea turtles are protected under CNMI law. If you see one that is stranded or if you see illegal activity, call the hotline at 287-8537.
Welcome back to the Channel 2 News. A reporting waiver has been granted to participants of the Nutrition Assistance Program who receive stimulus checks.
Households that receive benefits from the Nutrition Assistance Program have a 10 business day reporting requirement, meaning if there is any change in the household size or household income or resources, it must be reported to the NAP office. But with an approved waiver from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Food and Nutrition Service, stimulus payments are excluded from the resources reporting requirement to NAP.
There is a specific provision in our administrative code that money received as a non-recurring payment is considered as a resource, and so we asked for clarity on that. And so previously we were informed that it was a accountable resource, and so that led us to issue the press release that as a courtesy we're informing households that they have to report the stimulus payments and any lump sum payment they have received. And so we are retracting that release, and we are issuing another release, which we did this morning or just early this afternoon, that it is no longer going to be required as a countable resource. Stimulus payments will not be counted. Therefore, we will not request for any information on stimulus payment.
But Macaronis states those who do receive lump sum payment for back pay and salaries must report the amount to the NAP office, as it is a non-recurring payment.
Fishermen frequently look to the sky to decide where to go trolling, as the presence of birds can signal the presence of fish. The CNMI is in the process of installing a number of devices to attract those fish. Our Chris Nelson is on the water for this story next.
Mahi-mahi are running now, and it may be easier to catch them in the coming months thanks to a new set of buoys being installed in CNMI waters. This buoy is called a FAD, which stands for Fish Aggregating Device. The buoy, the ropes below, provide a little bit of shade and cover in the open ocean. Small fish like that, and big fish like small fish. There are different types of fads. Some are natural, floating log perhaps, and some are man-made and used by commercial fishing operations. The ones deployed here are buoys and are stationed in relatively fixed areas near the ports of Saipan, Tinian, and Rota, and they're designed to help local sport fishermen. Our captain, Lawrence Conception, his dad helped pioneer the Grotto dive site. His mom has operated a marine sports business at Fiesta Beach for many years. Lawrence once caught a marlin so big that he couldn't bring it into the boat or Smiling Cove Marina in time to win the grand prize of the Saipan Fishing Derby. He's got saltwater running through his veins. The vessel is the Carita, a diesel-powered deal in our boat that is strong and quiet. The Carita is part of the operation being used to install the fads. As we head out of Smiling Cove Marina, we pass a DPS boat that has offered a helping hand. Under blue skies and relatively calm water, we head out the channel into deeper water. Trey Dunn, a fisheries biologist for Fish and Wildlife, says one of the newly installed fads sits just a few miles north and west of Monongahela.
You had all these pelagic fish, mahi, wahoo, marlin, and they're just cruising around the open ocean looking for food or shelter or whatever. So if you put a thing out there that they can focus on, the small fish can hide behind, then those bigger fish will come and check it out, and they'll just be in that vicinity looking for a meal, looking to see what it is, checking out the new thing in their environment.
Fads that were installed previously were destroyed in Typhoon U2. A total of 9 fads are going out over the next couple of months.
So do the pelagic fish put it kind of into their internal memory? They know that this is a spot that they've found a small fish to eat before?
So there's something to that line of thought. Like that's one of the theories is that they kind of use things that stay put as like a marker, like, oh, there's a meal here, or this is, what I passed on my way migrating from this area to that area, and I should check it out for a meal.
The Marianas Trench sits off the east coast of Saipan and drops to over 30,000 feet. We are west in the Philippine Sea, relatively shallow in comparison, but still over 600 meters deep.
Now, we're in about 1,500 feet of water. How do you get a device like that, a buoy like that, to stay there?
So we have about a 1.5 ton anchor that is at the bottom, and then there's some chain attached to that. And then this specific fad we're at, KK, is actually at 1,900 feet, and there's 2,400 feet of line on that fad. So the bottom part is a floating rope, and the top part is a sinking rope. And so they splice together in the middle and kind of make an S-shaped curve that gives it some leeway as the tide rises and falls, as the waves come through, so that way it's not just pulling on the anchor at the bottom. And it sort of stays in about a half a mile radius from the GPS location of where we put it.
GPS coordinates are passed along to local fishermen. The fad is primarily used as a location to troll nearby. Today we have 2 lines in the water, and we make big circles around the buoy. Sustainable fishing practices provide food security, and with a pandemic raging throughout the world, the ocean continues to provide important local bounty that can be counted on.
We just have all these resources around us, and we have a relatively small population for how much of that resource we have. So the pelagic fish are one of the best resources for that, for food security and sustainability, right? It's a huge ocean, and we're just a dot in it. So you have all these mahi and wahoo and marlin just cruising through, tuna. They're going about their business, and they're stopping by. So the amount that we take is just a drop in the bucket compared to like some of the bigger nations and some of the other people around. So that's a really sustainable way.
Thank you, Chris. Immediately following tonight's newscast, we will show a special graduation message from the Mount Carmel class of 1990 to the graduating class of 2020. All right, coming up, the new mural at a gym. It's finished. Well, kind of. Almost. Just like it's almost time for the KSPN2 Sports Report.
Thank you for being here with us.
For finding ways to keep things happening.
For making things feel a lot better.
Thank you.
Energize, realize, feels so good just to be alive. Time's a gift, my time is free. I can spend it on you, you can spend it on me. I can say you'll be blown away by the change you see me. And I feel
Thank you for staying strong with us
and for us.
Thank you for always connecting.
for keeping us together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding us
That despite this distance,
We are still better together.
Docomo Pacific.
better together.
Honey, can you pick me up? I am tired. I am drowsy.
Guys, I'm heading to work.
Mom, here, Mason.
I'll take it after work. Junior? Yes? Bring me my medicine, please. Okay.
Mom, please, there's Pokemon back there. Please.
I'm trying to focus on the road.
Do not distract me while I am driving. You understand?
My family is on whole home Wi-Fi powered by Plume.
Since we installed the Docomo whole home Wi-Fi, what did you guys notice about it?
When you pull up the driveway, it automatically connects, and I don't have to get out of my car right away and come upstairs to go on my phone.
My favorite thing is that it doesn't buffer when I'm watching YouTube.
My favorite thing is that when Addie calls now, there's no lag. Like before, it used to be where I couldn't see her sometimes and I have to hang up and then call her back, and now I don't have to do that.
You know what's a good thing too is that when you come over to visit, I could give you your own password. I can assign a time limit so that I can say that you can only be on it for 1 hour. So that means you won't get in trouble from your mom.
And then you can go home.
The thing that I love the most is that I can freeze the internet for periods of time so that we can enjoy dinner time like this. Why are you rolling your eyes? So I'll turn it back on after dinner.
Whole home Wi-Fi powered by Plume. Docomo Pacific, better together.
Buenas sports fans. Buenas sports fans, nothing like a fresh coat of paint to spruce things up. Let's look at the latest, greatest mural here. You are looking at the new and improved Gilbert C. Atta Gymnasium, at least on the outside, that is. The inside's the same, but the outside, well, it's looking a lot better today. This fresh coat of paint comes 14 years after the original mural was painted by Louis Ogo for the 2006 Micronesian Games. This beautification project was paid for by the National Endowment for the Arts through DCCA in support of local artists following Super Typhoon U2. It was a special grant. Royal Soil through Shane Villanueva submitted the successful grant proposal, and they did it on short notice. The painting, though, was fast. Started last Thursday, and it finished this Thursday. Well, actually, that mural is not quite finished. Right now, there are 3 guys on it, and there are no girls. They're going to add one soon, which segues us to this. A story about a female athlete. The history of women's soccer in the Northern Marianas started in 2006 with their first adult league. 38 players competed on 4 teams with names such as Saipan Grand Fire Dogs and Marianas Eye Yai 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 Yai. One of those inaugural players was Patty Coleman, And she stayed with soccer as a player and a coach ever since, especially with girls soccer. Patty got her daughter, Gwen Borja, to play, and she first caught the attention of KSPN's camera in a U12 indoor soccer tournament. Her potential was obvious. The Football Association's first girl to graduate from its national program to college in the States was Gabby Race, a defensive standout, in 2016. She played one season before deciding to concentrate on her studies. Now, Saipan has its second college player, Gwen Borja.
So I'm going to Navarro College, which is actually a junior college in Corsicana, Texas, which is about 3 hours from Houston, where I live now. And they're in the NJCAA Division I. So obviously that's going to be, like, people kind of have this stereotype of, like, oh, it's a junior college, but no, like, the competition is going to be just as much as if I were to go to any other school.
It's an American school with an international blend of players.
A lot of competition. Like, my team has a couple players from the Jamaica national team, I believe, and then a couple girls from Ghana and Denmark too. So there's very diverse.
The freshman will let the future decide itself.
Right now, I'm in liberal arts, just doing my general studies, but I've been thinking about going into something like sports kinesiology or something like that, but I'm not too sure yet.
Gwen was a standout for the NMI national team, and that gave her a lot of experience, but now it's a new ball game.
Like Sunjun said, we did have a lot of experience playing with top-tier teams such as Japan, North and South Korea, China, and all that. So, yeah, I do have a sense of confidence within myself, but I also want to go in just knowing that I have to prove myself to my teammates, to my coaches. So, yeah, that'll be exciting to see how that turns out.
Here's her day.
Well, I just finished the online portion of my school because we ended online, obviously, because of the pandemic. But I'm done with that. So I'm just staying home, like, working out and all that.
She's been able to keep relatively busy during these weird times.
Houston is technically back open, but in terms of, like, you can only have, like, 25%, like, capacity if you do go into places like restaurants and stuff like that, which people still don't really do. But usually I tend to stay home and go to, like, the park and stuff to play soccer. Or I have, like, a tennis court on the roof of, like, my condo. So I usually go there to work out and, like, just juggle up there and do a couple, like, laps around.
Gwen urges youth to take advantage of the soccer opportunities here, especially since they're so cheap compared to the States.
Soccer here is super expensive. Like, playing for club even.
Why? How? What do you...
Like, you have to pay tuition when you play for clubs here.
Here's the windup and the pitch.
I don't believe what I just saw!
The Marianas is in a historic drought. 40 years that the National Weather Service has collected data. This is the driest May on record. Also the driest dry season. We've had less than 2 inches of rain in the last 3 months. Saipan averages 80 inches of rain each year, and so far, to 2020, we've had less than 5. The National Weather Service is classifying this as an extreme drought. If it remains this dry for another week, you can expect us to go to the highest level, which is called exceptional drought. Today's weather, 91 the high, below 81, 100 the heat index, 56% humidity. Tomorrow mostly cloudy, but probably not much rain. Unfortunately, east winds 10 to 15, high around 90, low 80, seas 3 to 5 feet. Sunrise 5:45, low tide at 8:15, high tide 12:27, sunset at 6:43. And that's it for us. News, sports, and weather. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. It starts right now. We'll see you back here Monday night.